What's up, guys? Justin here, on my way to pick up the largest game deal that I've ever done. It's not the biggest deal in terms of the number of games that I'm getting, but as far as the quality goes and the price that I'm paying for everything, it's the biggest game deal that I have ever done. I printed out this spreadsheet here of everything that I'm getting. I'll give you guys a quick look here. I'm not going to go into too much detail yet, but the majority of it is NES stuff. But there is some other nice stuff in there as well, some stuff that I'm pretty excited to add to my collection. So we're going to make a quick pit stop first to pick up a few games from another gentleman, kind of like the opening act. So I'll show you guys that stuff in a second, and then we'll be on to the big deal for the day. So here's the smaller deal that I just picked up. Got Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. It's missing a clip on the top there. Super Mario World, and a couple Sega CD games. We got Sylphied and Tomcat Alley. So I just paid $20 for those 4 games there, which was a pretty solid deal. This is the same guy I did a Sega CD deal with last fall or last summer, and he had just found a few more things. But he did mention that he had like some Nintendo and some Genesis stuff that he was going to look for today, and if he can get me some pictures and we can figure something out before I'm on my way back, I might swing back through his area on my way home. So I did actually end up meeting up with that guy again on our way home, and this time I bought much more than just 4 games from him. I'll show a picture of what I got from him here. He had a weird variety of stuff. Some NES games, Mega Man 2 and 4 were in there, along with Mario is Missing. I haven't seen that one in a while. He had a couple decent PS1 games, a couple Resident Evil games, and a broken Game Gear. So I think I ended up giving him another $75 for that lot there, which I felt was a pretty good deal. And that's when he told me that he actually had the NES system and a few more games that he was hanging on to for the time being. So after I got back in the car, my girlfriend and I took a wager as to how long it would be before this guy messaged me and told me he wanted to sell his system and the last few games that he had. And it ended up being not even 24 hours. The next night, I got a message from him, and he was wanting to sell the rest of his stuff. So I met up with him again, and for $60 this time, I'll show a picture of what I got. It was his NES system, which was actually in decent shape. Mario Bros. 2, 3, Castlevania Dracula's Curse, and a Sega CD, an NHL game that he had just forgotten to give me in one of our prior deals. So I don't know if he's got any more stuff, but we'll see if I get another message from him in a few days here. But let's move on to what I'm sure most of you are here for, my massive purchase. And what I don't think I mentioned in those beginning clips there was that this was a personal collection that I was buying off of somebody. So I didn't really get it for garage sale prices, although at the same time I kind of did. And I'll talk price and explain what I mean by that at the end of the video. But I want to get into some of the stuff that I picked up here. I'm going to start out by showing the NES stuff. That was the biggest part of this bundle by far. You could tell that that was kind of this guy's true collecting passion. And so I'm going to tackle this kind of the same way that I've tackled my big lots in the past, where as I was unpacking everything, going through it all, I took some video of everything. I have a box next to me here of everything from this deal that I'm going to be keeping for my collection, along with some of like the heavy hitter titles, the more expensive or rare ones that are worth talking about. So I'll show those in more detail. But let's kick this off. Let's jump into the NES stuff here. So fair warning, this is going to be pretty quick, but this is really the only way that I can show like 230-ish NES games without making a 45-minute pickup video. Most of these ones that I have stacked up in the back here are the cheaper, more common titles. I don't want to downplay all of them though, because there are some decent titles in here. I mean, there's a Punch Out there on the top, and coming up here we have a Donkey Kong Classics. But for the most part, those are the cheaper, more common ones. And then out front is where I have the more popular ones. Gold cartridge and gray cartridge, Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, of course you gotta have some Mario games, Mega Man 2 and 3, the Flintstones, I haven't seen that one in a while. There's also some box stuff out front here, Contra, the whole Castlevania trilogy was in there. So as promised, I'm going to show all the games that are a little bit harder to find, along with the ones that I'm keeping for my collection in more detail. So we'll start this off with the games that I do already have for my collection. This one here is Adventure Island 3. I remember doing a trade years ago with another YouTuber to get a copy of this game. I'll have to do a condition comparison because this one is pretty nice. We also got Ninja Gaiden 3. I bought this one on eBay way back when I first started seriously collecting again, and I'm glad I did because it has gotten super expensive since then. I did find a copy of this game last fall maybe, as part of a Facebook group deal. I think the one I have is in better shape though. Here's another one I picked up last summer. Maybe it was fall. Maybe this one was fall. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember that because I got it a month or two before Halloween. This one's got some wear on it though. I think the copy I have is better. We got The Mutant Virus. I remember picking this up from a store on the way down to our very first MGC, Midwest Gaming Classic, and I have not seen another copy since then. I think I paid like $5.99, $6.99 for it. I'm pretty sure it's gotten more expensive since then. Here we go. Tengen Tetris. Definitely much harder to find than the Nintendo release of Tetris. I already have a box copy of this. I'm looking for a manual, I believe. I doubt I'll ever find one, but we can try. RC Pro-Am 2. Some of you might recall I picked this up a couple summers ago in that part of my biggest garage sale haul ever. It's part of that like play and trade buyout deal. This was one of the games. I'll have to do a condition comparison as well. I do remember that one that I got having some issues with it. This one might be a little bit better. Okay, now on to the games. I believe all the rest of these are ones that I need for my collection. This one here is definitely my favorite NES game that I got with this deal. I've never had it before. Felix the Cat. I've heard great things about this game. I've never played it. Obviously never owned it. But it's in really nice shape. This was one of the ones that when I got there I made sure to find in the boxes that he had, make sure it was in good shape. He had everything all organized and separated for me, and he was cool about letting me look through it. Obviously I was spending a ton of money. We'll get to that at the end. But Felix the Cat, happy to get that one. G.I. Joe, The Atlantis Factor. I believe there was another G.I. Joe game for the NES as well that I don't have. I've never owned either of them. This one's not in great shape. It's got some wear on the front, some wear on the top, but we'll add it to the collection for now. Kickle Cubicle. The cover art on this one kind of reminds me of like a Master System game or something. This one's not real expensive, just one that I've never come across before. Here's one that I didn't even know was released in North America. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I believe this is a North American release. I don't have any reason to think otherwise. It says NES USA and Canada on the back. I looked it up on eBay when I saw it on the list of games that he had, and all I could find were like PAL versions. So if anyone has any info about this one, let me know. I don't think it's super expensive, but just kind of an obscure one for the NES. We got Digger T Rock. Don't know a whole lot about this game, but I've never owned it before. It's in nice shape. Got Mad Max, which I was certain I had for my collection, but my spreadsheet says otherwise. I think I may have owned it before, but the label might have been jacked up on it or something, so I got rid of it, but happy to finally upgrade that. Let's see what's next here. Castle of Dragon. I don't think this one's real expensive or hard to find, just never had it before. Same with this one. We got Hook. Straight up Hook. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Spelunker? We got Star Wars. I get this one mixed up with the Star Wars games on the Super Nintendo. I don't think I've ever had this one though. So that'll be going in the collection. Tag Team Wrestling. Caesar's Palace. Star Force. X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men. And the last few here, a copy of Werewolf. I always thought this cartridge art was really cool. Where you're supposed to, the guy's ripping through the label there, and it's supposed to be like the board on the inside. I could get a sticker off of the back, but that one will be going in the collection. And then a couple unlicensed games here. Crazy Creatures and Pyramid. I guess I'll hang on to this one. There's, I don't know, something... oil or something got stained on the top of the label there, but I'll hang on to it for now. Like I'll ever find another one. So let's move on to some of the box stuff that I got. And then I've got one more special game, NES game, to show you at the end here. Most of these boxes, actually all of them, I think I just needed the box for. I already have the cartridges. But we got Iron Sword, Wizards, and Warriors 2. That box is in nice shape. This one I actually already have complete, but it's in really nice shape. Star Tropics. Wizardry. This one I think is actually just, oh, maybe there's a cartridge in here, let me see. No, it's just the box and it has a bigger manual. I'll be able to complete that one though because I already have the cartridge. And Zoda's Revenge, Star Tropics 2. Front of it looks like it might be a little sun faded. I can't tell. Regardless, it'll be going up on the shelf right next to my other Star Tropics. And then the last NES game that I wanted to show, this is the one that I said was something special. It is Final Fantasy VII. So now, obviously this isn't an original Nintendo release, but he was telling me about this. I know nothing about it, but he was telling me that he bought this for like $200 from, I believe he said Bishop Bros. I think it says on the back here. Yeah, Bishop Bros. And he was telling me, he actually shouted out Metal Jesus Rocks. He said Metal Jesus and Reggie did a video at some point about this game. Might have to go back and find that to figure out exactly what it is. He told me it's basically just a, you know, a 8-bit version of Final Fantasy VII, or as close as you can get to the full game on an NES cartridge. So this is not usually the type of thing that I collect, or at least the type of stuff that I would spend $200 on. But it's pretty sweet, and it comes in this really nice case, and I'm definitely going to hang on to it. So as for the two NES systems that I got, not a whole lot to show here. There was a top loader along with an original NES toaster system. I think there was just one set of adapters for the two of them, and like 3 or 4 controllers. No dog bones, unfortunately. They were just all the original controllers. So, like I said, not a whole lot to show there, but I guess any day you can get a top loader is a good day. So let's move on next to the Super Nintendo stuff. So obviously not nearly as much Super Nintendo stuff with this deal. There's a system there that could use some cleaning, some adapters, 2 third-party controllers, a boxed Street Fighter 2 Turbo, some games, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, Super Mario All-Stars were the highlights there. Although there was 2 that I set aside that I wanted to show in more detail here. The first one being Super Metroid. Now I've said it plenty of times before, my favorite game of all time. I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams of people speedrunning this game in the last few months, and it's been a long time since I've picked up a copy of this game. So when I test it out, we'll see if I get carried away and end up doing a couple speedruns of my own, or run-throughs. I don't even know if you can call mine speedruns. I uploaded that video a few months ago of me doing a run-through that nobody watched, but I guess that's what I get for making an hour and a half or hour and 15-minute YouTube video. But anyway, the next one that I wanted to show here was Knights of the Round, Capcom title. This is probably my favorite game that I got with this entire deal. And the reason why is because a few weeks ago, I just missed out on a Super Nintendo bundle, an awesome deal that included this game, it included Nosferatu, Yoshi's Island, there was a few other good games in there, plus the system for $75 someone had it posted for. And I lived like an hour and a half away from them. I was more than willing to make the drive, but just the fact that I was so far away from them, I just didn't even really have a fair chance to get it. Someone scooped it up right away, so I was really bummed about that, but to get this game for my collection so soon after that was pretty sweet. And then the last thing I wanted to show isn't a game or a system, but it is a system box. This I didn't even realize I was getting until the night before. He sent me a picture of everything all boxed up, and those were the first pictures I had even gotten of anything. I was just going off of the PDF document that he sent me that lists all of his games, but it's not in great shape. There's definitely some water damage on this side here, so I'm kind of up in the air about whether or not I'm going to hang on to this one. I don't have this bundle yet for my collection. It's the one that came with the Super Mario World, and I believe it came with Super Mario All-Stars. So regardless, I'll probably clean up that system and put it in this box. I'm just not sure if I'm going to hang on to that yet. So anyway, that was all the Super Nintendo stuff. Let's switch this up. Let's show some PlayStation stuff. So oddly enough, no PS2 stuff with this deal. It was all PS1 stuff, which was fine with me. There was an original PS1 system in there. Nothing too special. on the games. Coming up here on the left, though, you'll see a Master of Monsters. I'll talk more about that in a minute here. But he had most of the Final Fantasies, 7, actually 2 copies of 8. He had 9, Anthology, Legend of Dragoon, Dino Crisis, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which I was shocked to see how expensive that game has gotten. It's like $60 now, maybe $70 for like a nice condition black label copy, which is insane to me. But yeah, here's that Master of Monsters, Disciples of Gaia, which I didn't realize this was included until I was filming that video that you guys just watched. I don't believe this was on the list of games that he sent me, but it looks like a pretty cool RPG. I'm going to have to replace the case on this one. The manual is kind of worn, but the disc is like perfect, so I'll be adding this one to the collection. And that was it for the PlayStation stuff. I'm going to go ahead and show the Sega stuff that I got next. So you can tell this guy wasn't like a huge Sega collector. I mean, he had the systems, he had a Saturn, there was a Dreamcast, a Model 1 Sega CD, which he kind of just threw in for free because it's untested. Same with the 32X, he didn't have all the cords for it, so that was kind of a freebie. And then just a couple games for the Dreamcast and a few for the Saturn, which I'll show here because I actually did need most of these. We got Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast and Virtua Fighter 3 TB, both of which I thought I had, but apparently I didn't, so I'll be saving those for the collection. And then for the Saturn here we got Loaded, Body Bag Not Included, and Skeleton Warriors. Both of those I believe I needed as well. He did have originally a Genesis and a bunch of games, and that was something that he told me he had sold off last summer or something. He said he had a garage sale and sold some of this stuff off. He didn't have a bunch of good stuff for the Genesis based on what I saw on the list. Most of it was cartridge only, so I wasn't too heartbroken that he decided to get rid of that stuff already. But yeah, that was all the Sega stuff that I got. Let's move on next. Let's switch things up again. Let's check out some PC Engine stuff. So I don't have a whole lot to say about this, mainly because I don't know what half of these games are. They're Japanese. Obviously I recognize a Bomberman in there. I believe that's Ninja Spirit in the top left, a Darius game, and something that looks like baseball. But I wanted to show this system here in a little more detail. And I guess first off, for anyone that doesn't exactly know what this is, it's the Japanese TurboGrafx-16. It obviously needs to be cleaned up, but I was amazed at how small this thing actually is. I've seen them before, but I've never held one in my hand. I mean, you compare it to like the case for the PS1 game, and they're essentially the same size. Obviously the system is a little bit thicker, but I was just amazed at how small this thing was. And I'm kind of excited to try it out. I don't exactly know how to do so because with it being a Japanese system, he was telling me something about my TV needs to be set to like channel 97 or something. I don't know. Someone can drop a comment and let me know if I can hook this up to a newer TV, and if so, how to do it. I would greatly appreciate that. But yeah, Japanese TurboGrafx-16, kind of an oddball item, and that one is a first for me. So let's move on next to the GameCube stuff. So this pile looks pretty lame compared to like the NES bundle, but yeah, not a whole lot to say. I mean, it's a black system, came with a couple controllers and 4 games, which you can see there. One of which I actually did need though, Mario Superstar Baseball. I thought I had this one, but I did not apparently. Maybe I just never had a complete one, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm confusing it with Super Sluggers on the Wii. I will double check on that, but if I don't have it, it will be going into the collection. So yeah, that's the GameCube stuff. Let's move on finally to the handheld stuff. So that is like a brand new 3DS XL system there. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but next to that was a red GBA SP system, along with some decent games. He had Metroid Fusion, Zelda Minish Cap, Golden Sun, and a lone original Game Boy game, Mortal Kombat 2. But yeah, here's that 3DS XL system here. This was kind of, sort of a freebie. There was a few things on his original list of games that he sent me that he no longer had. The big ones being a copy of Chrono Trigger and a box copy of Link to the Past, which was, you know, kind of a big deal because those are 2 pretty expensive titles. But he was willing to throw in some stuff for me to make up for the cost of those. This was one of the things he threw in, kind of, and I didn't realize it was going to be like brand new. I thought it was just going to be the system, you know. But I opened this after I filmed that video you just saw to make sure everything was in here. And I think I was the first person to ever open this box. It is seriously brand new. And I don't usually collect 3DS stuff, at least I haven't in the past, but I gotta say I'm gonna have a hard time getting rid of this, and I don't think I'm going to. Might be hanging on to this one, you know, even just as like a cool display piece. I have 3DS systems. My girlfriend has 3DS systems that we can play if we want to, but yeah, I think I'm gonna be hanging on to this. And I was happy, you know, to substitute that for, you know, a copy of Chrono Trigger maybe, because value-wise they're probably the same. I already have Chrono Trigger. So to get something I didn't have in place of that was pretty okay with me. So I know you're all wondering, what did I pay for everything that I just showed? I mentioned at the very beginning of the video that this was the most money I've ever spent on a single video game purchase, which is true. I also mentioned that I definitely didn't pay garage sale prices, but at the same time, I kind of did. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I paid $1,100 for everything that I just showed. Obviously, I'm probably never going to go to a garage sale and drop $1,100, but I personally think that I got an incredible deal on everything because I had valued everything at just over $3,000. And how I got to that number was, you know, I didn't price out every single NES game, all the cheaper ones or whatever, but for all like the cheaper games in this deal, I gave them a default value of like $3. Which is probably on the lower end of things. For all the ones that were worth more than, you know, 10 bucks, I looked them up and priced them individually. Did the same thing for the systems, and my grand total came out to just over $3,000. And if you think about it in terms of percentages, I got everything for about 30% of the retail value. So you go to a garage sale, you buy an NES system for $20. Reasonable deal, you know, good working NES system, 50, 60 bucks. It's about 30% of what it's worth. So if you think about it like that, I really did kind of pay garage sale prices for this bundle. It was just a lot more money for a lot more stuff. Regardless of what you want to call it, I think I got an incredible deal on all of this stuff, and I think that this is probably going to be the biggest purchase I make for a long time. So I'm satisfied. Hope you guys are too with this video. I want to thank you guys for sticking around and checking out the whole video if you lasted this long. Until next time, take care.